Oh, wait just a fucking minute. What am I doing? Fuck is this? This is boring. This shirt sucks. Hold on a minute. Let me show you a much better shirt. You were thinking to yourself, Gardner, why are you wearing that dumb old person sweater when you could be wearing a shirt that has your fucking face on it? Boom! Garden Sound merch, now available. Go look below the video in the little merch bar that I integrated with Teespring, and you can cop one of these. Just, the autofocus is focusing on the face on the shirt, which is really funny. So, anyway, yeah, Garden Head, big Garden Head in the merch bar down below. Check it out. Way, way excited for that. Thanks to Citizen for the design. Okay, friends, for those of you who don't know, it's Garden Sound. Lila the Bird. Here we are. It's season 5 and we're ready to go. We got the new studio set up. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the studio vid. Hope you enjoyed watching the Distrokid vid, and I hope you enjoyed watching the Whitey Mixtape, which I dropped without telling anybody last week. You're welcome. Make sure you favorite that thing and like it and put it in all your playlists. I really hope it gains some traction. I worked really hard on it for about a year. Like, it was probably the most expensive mixtape or album I've ever produced. All right, what are we doing today? Well, today I'm answering you all's questions. So you remember that video I put up where it was like, oh, here's how I built my studio? Well, a bunch of you had questions, and I asked you, I said, hey, if you've got any questions, let me know. Here are the best questions. The first part of the question is, what's your current gear setup? Like monitors, audio interface, and analog stuff, which I'll go over in a minute because there are also a lot of people who asked about the Rolly rack and how that's wired up with the patch bay, so I'm going to go over that in a minute too. Here's the part of the question that I want to answer right now, which is putting monitors on the side, why? If the manufacturer wanted that, why wouldn't they build such config in the first place? Okay, so these are actually made by Event, and if you go look up in their manual, you'll actually see that they do recommend to put them on their side. The reason that most people put them on their sides, like monitors I mean, is because I think they think it looks cool or something, or they saw that in a picture somewhere. But most monitors aren't designed to be placed on their sides that normally have a vertical orientation. So when you, and the reason for that is because the tweeters are not designed to work that way. They're not designed to work horizontally. But these speakers actually have a movable waveguide, which means that you can actually take the tweeter out and rotate it. So when I put these on their side like they are in their configuration right now, I actually had to take out the tweeter and turn it 90 degrees and then mount it back into the speaker, which was kind of nerve-wracking. You know, that I just got these like really expensive speakers and I had to like do surgery on them immediately. That was a pretty fun process. But yeah, thanks for asking. They're supposed to be on their sides, and you can even take the badge, the event badge where that lights up on the front of the speaker, and you can even turn that too. So if you zoom in on some photos of my studio, you can see the event logo is even oriented correctly. So it says, great vid as usual. Good to see the hard work is paying off. The studio, does it have a name? Is looking really pro. Yeah, it does have a name, so I'm going to call this Danger House because that's the pet name that I gave my house. So this is Danger House Studios. Oh, here's one. This one's from William Mahoney. How do you find the energy to stay motivated and creative? I'm always impressed by your work ethic. First of all, thank you. Second, it's not easy. Staying motivated is something that I definitely struggle with, and I think, you know, if you go back and watch like the middle portion of that video, there was a point in that video where I was like really in despair, just about the way things had been moving in general. So I definitely think there is, you know, room for improvement on my side. You know, a quick answer is that I have to find other outlets as well as music. If I'm not editing a video or working on some sort of a funny meme or like actually doing some visual art, then I'm working on music, right? Or I'm going to the gym. Like there's something to do. I have to keep myself doing something, and I think that's the important thing. It's not necessarily that I'm doing something creative, it's that I'm just doing something, right? Get up, put my pants on, right? You know, the first thing I do in the morning is pour a cup of coffee. I realize this sounds like a tangential rant, but what I mean is like, I have to do in order to do, if that makes sense. You must do in order to keep doing. You know what I'm saying? It's not always going to be music. There's just something that has to be done, right? Whether it's fold the laundry, you know, or write lyrics. Like they all fall into the same bucket for me of just doing something. But the short answer is coffee. Lots of coffee. Why do you look like Jamie Lee Curtis? I was not aware that I looked like Jamie Lee Curtis, but I will take that as a compliment because I think she is a hot lady. Am I watching a John Sonmez video? John Sonmez. Who is that? John Sonmez.
If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. You gotta make that choice. And you make that choice every day. You make that choice with everything that you do. You make that choice when you wake up. You make that choice when you go to work, whether you surf the internet or you work hard. For me, you know, I'm about freedom.
No, you're not. You're not. No. Christopher Jasko wants to know, hey, Gardner, quick question. Is 6 inches perfectly adequate? 6 inches is perfectly adequate. Kickmix wants to know, is push worth it, and can I get by with Launchpad and Launch Key? The answer to your question in short is I don't know. I have a video coming out on the push pretty soon, and it's going to be kind of in the style of Simon the Magpie, where I'm going to use it every day for a week. Like, I'm going to give it at least 2 hours a day for an entire week and see whether or not 14 hours with the push is going to improve or not improve my workflow. I've been avoiding making the video, honestly, because I was waiting for this all to get set up again so I could get my camera angles back. It took me a month and a half, like I said, to finish this studio. So I've been out of commission for a month and a half, and I'm just kind of getting back into making videos right now. Yeah, the answer is I don't know, but I will know soon, and I will definitely make a video on it. Definitely the most requested thing was details on how I wired this desk up and how the patch bay works and like my gear situation and that sort of thing. So the rest of this video is going to be dedicated to that. Let's jump into it. All right, everybody, so here's what's going on. I'm talking through the interface so you can actually see the little meters bouncing. But I have a 6U rack that's on top of my desk right here. And this is much better than it used to be because I used to have the rack like down here where I would have to like bend over the desk and then, you know, like tweak knobs and stuff on my old desk. But that's not the case anymore. So I've got a 8 in, 2 out, Motu 8 pre-interface. Love this thing. It's actually the second one of these that I've owned. The first one had a power supply issue and it burned out, which kind of sucks. But the interface is, everything's being routed from this patch bay up here. So all these little inputs right here that are gray, those are direct ins for the interface, meaning that the interface is normaled to the first inputs of the patch bay. And what that means is anything that's going into the back on the input of those 8 channels is always going to go directly to the interface's ends. And the way this works right now is that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all those inputs go direct through into this patch bay, and that goes direct into the interface. So there isn't, there's no need for me to go around behind the patch bay or the interface if I want to plug or unplug something in, right? It's always going to be there, which is really nice. So this is actually the cord right here for my microphone. And so the way this works is this goes in to the microphone patch bay, the XLR patch bay. There's a cord behind there that comes around back to here. And since this channel 1 through 8 are all normaled to 1 through 8 on the interface, meaning that there's cables connecting them directly, that's all I have to do is plug my microphone in here and it's automatically routed to the first input on my Motu. And that's like that for the first 8 channels. It goes for XLR and TRS. All right, so I'm not going to hot swap it because that's not a good thing to do when there's phantom power going through. But let's say I wanted to plug my, this is the TRS coming from my Model D. Let's say I wanted to plug that into input 2 on my interface. And we're done. That's as simple as it has to be. I have this big wiring chart, and the reason I have it is because I forget how this shit works. So basically, if I wanted to go from my Model D into the virus, I could do that by putting the Model D in on channel 11. All right, so that would be Model D into channel 11, and then the virus itself would output on channel 9, and then I could put that into the interface on like channel 2, for instance. There you go. So that is an example of how I would route a synthesizer through a virus effects send. If you've got a rack with this much gear in it, a patch bay might be what you need to do, because that's the virus up there. And what I've done is I've gone behind that and basically plugged something into the effects send. Right below the virus, I've got a, let's see, let's zoom back out. So I've got a virus right there. Right below it is a Roland XV5050, which is a Roland module. Then a Proteus 2000. And then a panel, which matches the stain on the desk, which is kind of cool. And then below that is my power conditioner. Below that is the ATR1, which is the original auto-tune. Below that is the S-Com. Oh, by the way, you can hear this ATR1 on the Whitey Mixtape. Below that is an S-Com 2-channel compressor, and below that is a Joe Meek 3Q, which is my like current favorite compressor I've ever used. And then a big drawer right there, which totally does not have a dildo in it. It don't have. Over here, I've got my Behringer Model D, which I've made tons of videos on. I fucking love that thing. I've got a Push 2 that I'm working on a video for. And that kind of wraps up the gear. Oh. Right, and then I've got my Event Opals over here, which I love these speakers. They're freaking amazing. Then I've got my big TV here. And then this thing right here is really cool. So that's called a mini DSP. So what's going on here is that the sound is coming out of my interface and then going into that DSP because it has to be split into 3 channels. Because down there is my subwoofer. So it's going channel left, channel right, and then sub. So it's a 2.1 setup. And basically what it's doing is like some sort of a room correcting thing using Room EQ Wizard. We haven't fully implemented it yet, but it already sounds amazing. So I can't imagine how much better it's going to sound once that's working. So in terms of MIDI, what's going on here is that my Motu 8 Pre is sending MIDI over to the same pathway that the audio is going. We're switching over to camera microphone here. Sorry about that. It's just this one MIDI cable right here, and that's getting passed into this, which is called a Quadra Through. Which is a really cool device that will take a MIDI signal, like for instance, this is the out signal, and then it'll split it. But it also applies like power, so that it won't you won't have a voltage drop or some bullshit that can happen with MIDI. Those of you who have a lot of older MIDI gear know what I'm talking about. Like a lot of my stuff is a bit older. It's in the old spec of MIDI in like the 90s and 80s even. So this thing right here is super important. So what happens is this thing splits it out and then it goes into my different devices. So I can make one MIDI signal and it feeds signal to the Virus and the Roland and the Proteus all at the same time. And then all I need to do is patch in the instrument via the patch bay over there that I want to hear. So that's pretty neat. Anyways, guys, I hope this was helpful. But, as always, that's going to do it for me today. Go check out that merch. We got some how to makes coming out. We got some sample packs coming out. Support me on Patreon if you feel like it. But yeah, it's going to take care of it for me. And as always, my name's GARDNSOUND. Your boy, Lyle the Bird over here. Y'all take care and I'll see you next time.